Okay, I am here with a state official that you may not know, but you should, because she does an extremely important job. We're talking to the State Auditor Diana DiZoglio. Did I get that right?
You did. Wow. I mean, it's a tough name. Yeah.
Well, no. If I read it,
I'm going to be real. I get corrected on saying my own name all the time.
They shouldn't correct you.
I am Italian American, but I was born and raised in Methuen and Lawrence, and the way that I was told to say my name all growing up was DiZoglio. But I have some of my my Italian friends who will say, you don't say your name the right way. It's supposed to be DiZoglio. And, I informed that I was born and raised in Methuen, and I will do my best to say it correctly moving forward. But Diana DiZoglio, yes. All
right.
Totally great.
So you have been in the papers, as we old news guys like to say, recently with, you're trying to do your job, and I don't think the legislature is quite cooperating in the right way.
Yeah, so I'm the state auditor. It's my responsibility to audit state entities on the behalf of the taxpayers of Massachusetts. I always like to let people know, because when you hear auditor, the auditor is coming. I think a lot of people get confused and might think that we can, or that we audit them, and we audit their business, their finances. And I have to remind people, we're not the IRS. My office does not audit any of you. We actually audit state government for you. It's the Office of State Auditor. So we audit the state about how they're spending your tax dollars, your hard-earned tax dollars, I might add. And we audit every state entity. We just recently conducted an audit of the state's MBTA. I think we can all agree that the state's MBTA has faced tremendous challenges. Public safety challenge after safety challenge, performance issues across the board. Public transportation in Massachusetts has never properly served the residents of the Commonwealth. And we did our job recently. We went in, we conducted a performance audit of an area of the MBTA. We looked at some breakdowns in a contract that they had given out in recent years, talked about how they needed to step it up in that contract, provide more oversight to that contract, how they weren't providing adequate safety training to their employees, and they needed to document their safety training processes and make sure that was being provided. Concerns, right? And we highlighted that to the MBTA. The MBTA cooperated with the audit, and while it was challenging to take the constructive criticism, the MBTA is working alongside of our office to make sure that they are implementing those recommendations. Now, that's not going to solve every problem over at the MBTA, but it is one additional thing that we can do to just increase accountability to help the system to work a little bit better, right? So these audits are a matter of routine, and again, every entity complies, but the one state entity that's refusing to comply with an audit from our office is the state legislature. And it is actually the Speaker and the Senate President who are saying bold-faced, I might add, that they make their own rules and that they don't believe that they should have to be subject to the same type of scrutiny that every other state entity is required to be subject to. We disagree. Our office has conducted 117 audits of the Massachusetts legislature previously. There is ample precedent there. It was always the case that they were audited. It's actually only been the case that in recent years, certain leaders of the legislature decided that they didn't want to cooperate anymore. And then it became common practice for them to just, rebut these audit requests. So, they're claiming that they don't believe that they're subject. The law is clear that they are, but because they're not following current law, I am taking this matter to the voters on the November ballot, and question 1 will give voters an opportunity to vote to audit the state legislature so that we can get access to what's happening with our tax dollars and look at some of the processes and procedures that are occurring to help the legislature work better. We are frequently ranked the least transparent state legislature in the entire nation, not subject to public records laws, not subject to open meeting laws. Votes are cast during the middle of the night. We just saw how this legislative session ended with a lot of priority bills not being passed through the finish line. Now, while an audit won't be able to change that toxic culture where power is incredibly centralized and personalities can certainly be at play, that has to come from within. We can look at their process and their procedures and do comparative analyses, for example, with other state legislators to see where some folks may be doing it better that we can learn from, and then ask the legislature to incorporate those changes to to help us to get back on track here in the state of Massachusetts. Our legislature is not functioning at its best level, and we would like to make sure that, we're encouraging our legislature to operate at the standard of excellence I know it's capable of, but that's going to take working together, and it's going to take participating in these accountability measures that we're offering.
What are they afraid of?
That's been our question. If there's nothing to hide, what are you afraid of? They repeatedly say they conduct their own audits. We repeatedly remind them, so do a lot of other state entities. It's quite often, actually, that folks will have an internal auditor hired, and they'll go through a procurement process. They'll bring in a financial auditor to look at their books before the Office of State Auditor comes in, so that they can try to get everything in order and make sure that they have all their ducks in a row. Absolutely, we understand that. But our office actually looks at that procurement process and makes sure that that request was for proposal that either went out to bid or went through a process like it was supposed to, whatever the process was. We make sure that process was followed in accordance with the law. And then we verify the information that was actually audited. Because, it's certainly great to make sure that you're procuring this work out, but let's not forget that when you do so, you get to select who will be looking at the books, and you get to tell them what to look at. When our office goes in, these agencies don't tell our auditors what to look at. Our auditors do a risk assessment, and they choose what they need to look at based on what the voters ask us to look at. So if there are questions about, certain funds that there are questions about, we can look at those funds. If people have questions about how credit cards are being spent and they think that there's some funny business there, we can take a look at that, so on and so forth. So, we just provide an additional layer of transparency. And again, you're absolutely right. If there is nothing to hide, why not just take the audit for the sake of cooperation, demonstrate to the general public that you have nothing to hide, and if we find a couple of things, work with us to fix those challenges like every other state entity does. I have to give it to Sheriff Cocchi. When I came here today, he said, we had a great experience with your auditors the last time they came in, and they looked at what they looked at, and we said, what else do you need? And they can make recommendations to us. We follow them, and that's what audits are for.
Right.
We're not the FBI. We're not private investigators, and we certainly don't go into these agencies or entities and toss desks, take people's cell phones away from them. We're not actually able to do that. That's not our mandate under law. We simply look at the books, the processes, and the procedures, and some very strict government auditing standards, I might add. And we just make recommendations. Our audits are no more a threat than public service journalism is. It's just the fact that we would get access to those records that it seems like they're intent on hiding. And again, if there's nothing to hide, then let's get this audit going. But it doesn't seem like they're going to cooperate. So I am asking everybody, please vote yes on one. Bring on the sun. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you.
And have a great day. We're going to be back. I got to get back out there and start talking to some of our friends here today.
All right.
This is the most wonderful time of the year at the Cocchi event. So
thank you.